Hey everybody, what's up? Today, I want to talk about something. And it's something probably unique to me, but maybe not. I'm gonna cast my fishing line out into the void and hope I hook somebody else who feels similar so that I can say, yes, I'm not alone! Because honestly, it feels like I'm going crazy. Okay, so, as of this recording, Silent Hill F has just recently come out. I'm talking like, maybe we're in the first week of this thing's release, and I have had a passing interest in this game. Pretty much the only Silent Hill game I have played is Silent Hill 1, and I played it on my PS Vita through the PS1 Classics thing-a-majig. The PS3 and Vita days were weird, okay? I really kind of enjoyed that game. I liked how it wasn't necessarily quote-unquote scary, because as somebody who loves horror media but hates horror games, mainly due to the fact that a lot of them are very jump scare heavy, and I don't exactly jive with that kind of horror. For me, it just makes me like, okay, I don't like this, I don't want to be here, I don't like being startled. So, this is not fun for me. I lean more towards the unsettling, somewhat creepy, eerie horror, rather than the boo, gotcha horror. Which is why, when I used to do horror compilation videos back in the day for every Halloween, I would pick like Outlast and Five Nights at Freddy's because those were popular at the time, but I would never get very far in those games because I dreaded having to be jump scared, basically. And I will also say, speaking of Outlast, I hate Outlast with a passion, mainly because I like horror games that give me the ability to fight back in some way. I'm not saying this needs to be like a Dark Souls or a Doom game, where it's like, hey, I am the thing you need to be afraid of. I'm not trapped in a room with you, you're trapped in a room with me. I don't necessarily want that, because then it doesn't become a horror game, it becomes an action game. And the recent Resident Evil games have really gotten me into enjoying that, because while there is some resource management, there is a lot of action. Now, I'm going to contradict that statement right now and say that I want to love Silent Hill F so bad. It's written by one of my favorite people, the guy that made Higurashi no Nakokoro ni, which is an anime I grew up with, probably when I shouldn't have watched it, but I loved that anime. And I want to love the story in this game. The story is so compelling to me. But I am having such a hard time getting through it that it makes me sad. And see, it's not only this game that has done that for me. Last year, I tried to play the Clock Tower remake made by WayForward, and I had a similar experience where I wanted to love this game so bad, but it just ended up frustrating me. And that's no fault necessarily of the game, or at least I don't feel like it is. I feel like I'm the outlier here because everyone else is saying how much they love this game. And I'm like, I want to love this game too, but it frustrates me to no end and I just can't jive with it. Now, I will say that, Clock Tower's, story and stuff, it's like, it's a whatever. It was made on the SNES. It was cool for the time, but it's not like some Charles Dickens story here. We're not going grandiose. It gets the job done, and that's it. But I really wanted to love it. I even went back and tried to play it off stream, off content, and I just couldn't. I just couldn't get through it because, good gravy, having a guy sit there and chase you around is so annoying to me. And that's kind of what I ran into with Silent Hill F. And it made me have to think about things differently. Now, yes, I will say Silent Hill F is very combat heavy. There is a lot more combat and a lot more enemies than I feel like we've seen in Silent Hill games. Now, granted, again, I've only played the first Silent Hill, and then I got done with it, and I was like, cool, awesome, that was an experience. I'm good for a little bit, Silent Hill has been something that I'm like, cool, awesome, this is so cool, but I'm gonna shelve it and, go play something else. until F came out, and F looked really cool. And then I heard it was being made by the Higurashi guy, and I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds like exactly what I wanted, because I love that franchise, and I love his story style, which this game is awesome for that. The story is so compelling and interesting, and there's so many layers to it, so much so that you actually have to beat the game several times to unlock the various layers of the story, and I think that's so rad. But good gravy! When I first started it, I was just attacking everything. It was basically a Dark Souls game for me, because I was just like, okay, you're in my way. I'm just gonna smack you until you're not in my way anymore. And I did that for every enemy. But I was watching another streamer, Henya the Genius, play. I noticed something. You don't have to fight everything. And I know what a lot of people are gonna say. Well, duh. Like, this is a survival horror game. Your weapons have durability. You're not gonna be able to find a bunch of weapons. So you're probably not meant to kill everything you come in contact with, bud. But here's the thing. My brain has been rotted to the point when I've played a bunch of, like, action games and, you know, survival horror games, but not traditional, you know, survival horror. You know, you look at Resident Evil, and it's like, yeah, your ammo is limited, but generally you're meant to fight a lot of things, you know? And so I came at this thinking, like, okay, so it's more combat heavy, so I'm gonna fight everything I need to. When in reality, that's not really what you're meant to do. You basically avoid combat where you can. Once I realized, oh, I'm not meant to fight necessarily everything, I can sometimes run, and generally, enemies will lose interest in you. You can even get an omamori, which will make it to where their cone of vision, or whatever, basically gets more and more short. So it's like, okay, cool, I'll just run past you, and then you'll forget about me in like 5 seconds. Honestly, the town is so good, and really, really interesting to explore, but good gravy, do I wish this game had a fog toggle? Or at least made the fog not so dang thick, because I have a hard time seeing anything. And I mean anything. I can't figure out where I'm going. This place is a maze, and the fog is not helping. Then again, we just saw that somebody modded the PC version to remove all the fog, which, that's kind of funny, actually. But I want to love this game so badly, but I'm having a hard time with it, because sometimes the puzzles are just too obtuse for my little tiny brain to wrap around. It makes sense once you figure it out. Granted, I played this on the hard difficulty, not the Lost in the Fog difficulty. This was basically the normal difficulty that the game recommended for the Silent Hill experience. There was this one puzzle in this other world that really, really made me just, I had to sit the game down. I was like, okay, I can't with this right now. It was frustrating me. I didn't know what I was doing, and I felt the pressure because there are these creatures that track you via sound. You can attack them and kill them, but they come back. And I hate being pressured when I'm trying to figure out a puzzle. I hate having to sit there and be like, okay, I have to be conscientious of this thing, because if it's, like, sees me, quote unquote, it's gonna attack me, and then I'm gonna lose what I was doing in the puzzle aspect, and I'm just gonna have a bad time. And I hate that. That is one of the biggest pet peeves I have when it comes to puzzle games, is when something like that happens. I got to thinking about it, and I was like, oh, okay, so as long as I'm quiet, this thing's not gonna bother me. Then I started to solve the puzzle, figured it out, you know, yada, yada, yada. You progress. Oh, here's a good one. During the Scarecrow puzzle, where there are a lot of mannequin people in a field, you have to pick the right person to remove their thorn. If you don't, you're gonna get smacked. And they just keep respawning, so basically, if you try to brute force your way through the puzzle, you probably are gonna run out of your weapon before you even get past the first area. And the clue itself was mentioning this person wasn't exactly happy, but they had to put on a smile anyway. And so I looked around the area and I was like, okay, this person's smiling, I'll pick this person. Oh, nope, that was wrong. Okay, what do I do? What am I looking for if that's not right? And eventually, I had to put the puzzle in the context of Japanese societal norms. So in Japan, there's something called tatamae and hon. Basically, your outward appearance and your true self, what you truly feel. And once I thought about that, I was like, okay, wait a minute. There are these masks on some of these people's the back of their heads. That is like a clue. And it's like, once I unlocked that, my brain was like, oh, I get it. And so then I made quick work of that. All the clues make sense on the surface once you figure it out. But the problem is figuring it out, at least for my little tiny hamster brain. And I guess that's the thing I'm trying to give myself grace on, is I'm trying to run through this game. I am trying so hard because I want to love it so bad. I want to see where this story goes because it's very interesting to me. But I just don't jive with the gameplay. And it's not necessarily that it's more combat heavy. I don't necessarily mind that so much. I do kind of wish that it wasn't at times. It doesn't feel like it's as bad as the Silent Hill 2 remake was in terms of the amount of combat. Maybe it is. I didn't really play that one personally, but I did watch a lot of people play it. To my eyes, at least, it did seem a lot more Resident Evil-ish in terms of its combat to puzzle ratio, but again, I didn't play it, so I can't really say if that was the case. To be honest, once I finish my first run of Silent Hill F, I intend to go back to it, but probably it's going to be on an easier difficulty, just to see what the story holds. And perhaps I should have done that from the start, because ultimately, like I said, I've only played one Silent Hill game, and so maybe, just maybe, I'm not used to how Silent Hill games are run. I understand that F is different. It's a modern take on Silent Hill, and I know a lot of people are enjoying it, and just as many people aren't. They feel it's a departure from the series. I don't know, maybe I need to go back and play the original Silent Hills, not the remakes, just the original ones, to see if maybe I would enjoy that gameplay style better. I guess, long story short, is I gotta ask, what do you guys think? Have you guys ever tried to play a game and you want to love it so bad, but there's just something about it that you can't move past, or it's hard to move past? Because, don't get me wrong, I'm still trying to trudge through this game, but I don't feel like I'm having a good time. And there's just this little part of me that's really, really hoping with all their little heart that eventually, someday, something is gonna click. It's just gonna boom. Oh, I love this game. But anyway, guys, that's my yappin' ramblings on Silent Hill F and why I don't like this game. But I want to so dang bad. But what do you think? Has there ever been a game that you really want to love so bad, but there's just something stopping you? Let me know down below. Hey, if you like this, maybe hit the like button and ring-a-ding-ding that bell. Apparently there's like some hype thing that YouTube's got now, so I guess use that if you want. YouTube's been kind of weird lately, so I kind of don't know anymore what does what. It just seems like, hey, maybe this will go out to people and maybe it won't. But I have been your guide into the unknown, Will-o-Wisp. If you like my stuff, hey, maybe hit that subscribe button, so that way, hopefully, YouTube will let you know when I upload next. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'm gonna go play more Hades. Oh, or maybe Silksong. Oh, no, Ghost of Yote just came out, too. Oh, but man, I gotta get back to Silent Hill F. Which one do I choose?